Dry and cloudy with just the odd light shower in western and northwestern counties. Lowest temperatures tonight of 5 to 9 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
And you're very welcome along to Tuesday night's Off the Ball. It's Richie McCormack here at the helm right through until 10 o'clock tonight. Busy show on the way for you tonight. Champions League action is back underway. At the moment, we've kind of half an eye on Atletico Madrid and Bayer Leverkusen, but still to come in action this evening. Manchester City, Tottenham, Real Madrid, PSG, and a whole load more besides. We'll keep on top of everything in the Champions League. Damien Delaney joins us in studio for the duration of the show. Pat Nevin's going to be with us after 7:30 as well, and we'll also cast an eye back on Arsenal's defeat last night to Sheffield United. Loads of GA on tonight's show too. Desi Hutchinson, you may know the name as an up-and-coming prospect at Brighton, formerly with Waterford FC even, has played for the Waterford senior footballers and has just won a Waterford senior title with Ballygunner in hurling. He'll be joining us on the show a little bit later on, as will Aaron Kernan, who has become Crossmaglen Rangers' very own Ric Flair, 16 times a county champion. He is styling and profiling on tonight's show, and the football show will be on the way after 9 o'clock as well. If you want to get in contact, you can do. 53106 for 30 cent is the number. You can tweet us at Off the Ball. Be delighted to hear from you. Hopefully as well we'll hear from the Ireland homecoming, which will be ongoing during the course of tonight's show. The Ireland Rugby squad flying back into Dublin this evening and hopefully speaking to our own Shane Hannon somewhere along the line too. So keep your ears out for that. Should be an interesting conversation over the next while. As I say, former Republic of Ireland and Crystal Palace defender Damien Delaney joins us in studio, putting us all to shame in the sartorial department yet again. Cheers for that.
Wait, what?
The best dressed man in the room.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, just thought I'd make an effort today.
That's fine. And Will O'Callaghan's here for the Newsround as well. Well,
even lads.
We'll get into the Champions League team news, I guess, straight off the bat, because it's a big night. And I guess we'll start with Spurs, who need a result tonight, Will.
Yeah, they really do, Richie. I mean, pressure is on. They're currently third in their group, in Group B, and their last game in Europe was a 7-2 hammering against Bayern Munich. The team news is in ahead of their game against Red Star Belgrade in London. Once again, Hugo Lloris is out injured, so Gazzaniga is in goal. Their back four then is going to be Davies at left back for Thongan, and Sanchez are the centre backs. Serge Aurier is going to play at right back. Ndombele joins Sissoko in the centre of midfield. Harry Kane is up front, and supporting him in attack is the three of Heung-min Son, Dele Alli and Eric Lamela. So that's the Spurs team to start that game in London in about an hour's time, Richie.
Must be in game, Damien, for Pochettino and for Spurs, not only for this group, but I suppose for Pochettino's term as manager.
I think when you're in the spot that Spurs are in right now, Champions League games this early, you know, you shouldn't put yourself under this much pressure, especially a team like Red Star, where, you know, I won't say you can kind of justify the Bayern. If you lost the Bayern 2-1 or whatever, you can kind of get away with that, but like 7-2 is obviously atrocious, so you've put yourself in a spot now against Red Star. Confidence will be low, so it's a real test of where they're at as a dressing room and what they're made of.
We were talking about this last night with Dan McDonald, just as a dressing room. There seems to be that issue there whereby there's clearly players who wanted out during the summer. Spurs, by accident or design, weren't able to shift them. They've got a manager who there's been constant speculation about. He insists that he's happy out and he's going nowhere and he's committed to Spurs, all this kind of stuff. But that talk seeps into a dressing room and isn't helpful in any way.
Without doubt it doesn't. I mean, when you've got, you know, Spurs have a business model, and I call it a business model because this is what Daniel Levy doesn't want to break the bank. You know, but when you've players that have elevated themselves above the pay structure that they have at Tottenham, and they've put themselves in an elite level, I'm talking Christian Eriksen here now, you know, it doesn't necessarily, look, obviously it all comes back to money, but also it's a status thing, you know. If you've got a player that's earning X at a certain club and they say, we're going to pay you X as well, and he's at Spurs on Y, he's going to say, well, hang on a minute, I mean, I want to go. And what normally happens there is the club says, okay, you can go, or no, you won't go, and we'll pay you. But Spurs just basically say, no, we're not doing any. And I think you can get away with that for a couple of years, and he did for a couple of years with the likes of Eriksen. But they've got to a point now where they've, you know, Champions League final and thinking they've lost a little bit of interest is what it looks to me. And I can't blame him. I know a lot of people say, well, it should be about the money. But if you're doing work and you're not being paid for it, it's going to get it's going to get in your mind, and it's going to affect you, and it's going to affect your changing room as well. Work
that you're not getting paid for, and you know you can get paid better elsewhere.
Yeah. It is, because I mean it sends a message out to the rest of the changing room as well, that if any of the young lads, Harry Winks, if you elevate yourself to the level of performance that Christian Eriksen has put in the last 2 years, there's reward there for you. We're going to pay you.
Yeah.
Whereas the young lads now, I mean, this is a little bit, a secondary issue with the young lads now. We'll kind of go, well, I won't say what's the point, you know what I mean? Maybe we can go, but, if you do well at Spurs, we won't pay you and we won't sell you. So there's definitely that little bit of a cap comes in the changing room, and you lose your edge slightly. Pochettino's only so good with his man management and so good, with kind of plum awesome players and trying to say to them, look, we'll do the work, we'll pay you, And eventually, after the Champions League final, Ericsson said, can I be paid, please? And then the club go, no. And that's kind of, I think, the effect that has on a changing room. And it's been coming at Spurs. Daniel Levy is notorious for being a difficult guy to negotiate with. So you can see there's definitely something not right in that changing room.
It's a game they should win. Red Star beat Liverpool at home 2-0 last year, but didn't travel well at all. Shipped goals away to Napoli, shipped goals away to Liverpool, shipped goals away to PSG. You figured that this is 3 points Spurs should have in the bag. But then again, you saw them against Watford on Saturday and you're like, what's going on?
All things being equal, it should be 3 points, but it's not right now for Spurs. And I think if they lose this tonight, that's their Champions League season over. I think those players we just spoke about earlier will probably leave on a free in the summer. A lot of them are up either this summer or the following year. So
that shows a major flaw in your business model.
It doesn't, because he got them so far, but he will not break that pay structure. He will.
But if you're not going to get any return on them,
he did. But I think Pochettino has lost interest, because Pochettino's the one that has to manage what Daniel Levy's created, and I think Pochettino did manage it for 2 or 3 years. Well, no, we look after you. Don't worry. Sooner or later, push comes to shove, and the players say, well, hang on a second. I mean, my agent or other clubs have said that I can get paid X, Y, and Z at elite level teams like Christian Eriksen we're talking about. So Pochettino looks like he's fed up as well.
Yeah, definitely looks like that. Something we'll come back to in the football show as well. Pochettino speaking ahead of this game, Will.
Yeah, and Pochettino's had to say that maybe they've been trying a bit too hard in recent games. They've suffered that defeat against Brighton and then the 1-1 draw against Watford. He feels his players at times have been just trying too hard.
To show that we are all together. We need to show that we are with the manager. We need to show that we care. And I want to run more. And sometimes maybe it's run less and not spend too much energy thinking.
Well, this is a topic that former Republic of Ireland defender Gary Breen was speaking about when he was on OTBAM this morning as well. He says it's understandable about Pochettino's frustrations.
In our situation, they have a lot of chances, we don't score. And
really papered over the cracks, and they go to this new stadium, brilliant training ground, everyone's talking about a new era, but I always felt this, and I was consistent with it. I felt it was the end of one, to be perfectly honest, because with each season since they've left White Hart Lane, they've got weaker. They genuinely have got weaker. That team that finished the season at White Hart Lane was so dominant. That was the time to win a Premier League, and they're just drifting away now. And I think the realisation and the frustration that comes from Pochettino is that he knows it. The ceiling's been reached. He goes to the Champions League final, comes to a new stadium. They're in London, in the Premier League with that newfound wealth. He tries to go and get top-class players, proven players, and no one wants to go to Tottenham. They all want to go to United, even though they're having their struggles. They all want to stay at City, Liverpool, even at Juventus, these type of... And this is the frustration that he has, is that he cannot get Tottenham over the line in terms of competing at the highest level. And I genuinely think that this will be the beginning of the end at Tottenham now, because so many of that brilliant team will disband now with no trophy. You're going to lose players for nothing, which is incredible, bearing in mind what a businessman Daniel Levy is. And he said that he'd never be caught out in a way that he was with Sol Campbell going to Arsenal on a free transfer, where he's going to lose Eriksen, Vertonghen, Alderweireld, all for nothing. And you're talking about best part of £150 million there.
Well, Gary was speaking to Johnny Ward and Andy Lee on OTBAM this morning. That's our sports breakfast show. You can catch it every weekday morning from 7:30. You'll find the guys on offtheball.com, YouTube, Twitter and Facebook, also the Go Loud app. You can start your day off with Off the Ball, Rich.
Before we get to Spurs underage side, City also in action tonight, Manchester City, and going with that unique look back four.
Yeah, just kind of looking at the City team at the moment. Interesting that Otamendi and the returning John Stones are on the bench but not starting this game. Once again, Rodri and Fernandinho are going to be their centre-backs, with Benjamin Mendy and Kyle Walker as their full-backs. Then perhaps no great surprise, the players that play in front of them. We've got Riyad Mahrez, Phil Foden in for a start in midfield, with Gundogan in there as well, and Raheem Sterling is going to be supporting Sergio Aguero up front, with Kevin De Bruyne starting nominally on the right-hand right-hand side, which imagine he'll be in central positions. But the big talking point there, Richie, the fact that once again, like at the weekend, 2 midfielders are playing at centre-half.
It seems like you're walking a tightrope. As good a manager as Pep Guardiola is, as good players as they are, like if you're going to go with that setup.
Look, I think Pep sized up the opposition. I think he's genuinely looked at it and thought, I can keep my powder dry a little bit longer here. I don't need to force anything. That Manchester City team should have more than enough for Atalanta. They've got 6 points in the group, a couple of more wins and they're there. I think he's just, like I said, Atalanta are a good side, but they shouldn't trouble Man City tonight.
Long term though, I'm thinking in terms of the next game or two.
Long term, definitely. Long term, but you're hoping long term John Stones will slot back in. That kind of solves a little bit of your problem at centre back. Although some people might say it might worsen it, to be honest with you. But you know, he's a natural centre back playing there. They should have too much for tonight, and I think that's what he's done with the team selection tonight.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to work their way back into fitness in terms of the likes of John Stones and Otamendi. I'm looking at their next few games. It's a fairly benign run of fixtures, with all due respect to Aston Villa and Southampton. It's Atalanta then again, the Champions League on Wednesday the 6th of November, and then it's that game away to Liverpool on the 10th of November, which is a couple of weeks away and plenty of time for City to get their first choice centre-half. Partnerships back fully fit, but another decent afternoon for Troy Parrott.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Richie, 4 goals from today. Spurs were on fire against Red Star Belgrade in the UEFA Youth League, winning in the end by 9 goals to 2. One of Parrott's goals coming from the penalty spot. Great finish as well, and where he chipped it over the keeper, slipped, and then managed to readjust himself and still finish it into the net as well. So Troy Parrott flying at the moment. Mo Salah as well is back in the Liverpool squad for tomorrow's game at Genk. The forward missed Sunday's 1-1 draw with Manchester United in the Premier League. However, Trent Alexander-Arnold is out due to a virus, and Joel Matip, who signed his new contract last week, is out of that game as well due to a knee injury. The former Liverpool defender Jamie Carragher was speaking last night as well. He apologised directly to Patrice Evra, saying they were wrong to wear T-shirts in support of Luis Suarez. It happened back in 2011 after Suarez had been given his 8-game ban for racially abusing Evra during a Premier League game with United. Carragher was working alongside the Frenchman as a pundit on Sky Sports Monday Night Football.
As a football club, your first reaction, no matter what someone does, is to sort of support them, even if you know that they're wrong. Racism, assault, different things, whatever go on, that is the first reaction, really. And as I said, apologies, we got it massively wrong.
It's a good thing that he's come out and eventually apologised for what was a fairly awful incident and an awful chapter in Liverpool's history.
Yeah, it was. Obviously, he felt it was Patrice Evra stood next to him. Maybe he had to apologise, or maybe they had to address it. But look, how many years ago was that?
8.
8 years ago.
That's the thing that makes me feel worse about this.
It
like
does.
It's that long ago,
it's cringeworthy that he's done that. To be honest, you know, if Patrice Evra wasn't stood next to him, no, you can argue that there wasn't reason to do that. You know, but I mean, in between that, there was the whole spitting incident. So I don't really pay much attention to that.
On the issue of there is a very serious problem in England at the minute. Now, obviously, the attention was drawn to what happened in Sofia last week as regards the awful treatment that the England players had at the hands of the local Bulgarian sport. But we saw incidents at FA Cup perimeter round games involving Haringey Borough and Yeovil Town. There's Chelsea fans have received bans today for respective incidents. Manchester United fan ejected from Old Trafford at the weekend as well. Like it's been emboldened over there. I don't know if you encountered much of it, or your teammates encountered much of it when you were at Palace or at Ipswich or anything like that.
Listen, yeah, I did. You know, I did witness Wilfred Zaha being racially abused on a couple of occasions. I mean, you do kind of. It's difficult. You're kind of on the pitch. You kind of, what can I do here? Is there anything that I can do? Because you can see guys blatantly making monkey noises at him when he's over on the touchline. No, he handled that. No, he actually got a ban, I think, for one game because he reacted, and I think he stuck his middle finger up at the fans. I think it was Leeds fans, if I'm being honest. I don't want to say that now, I might be wrong. But it was amazing. It was going on forever. And he lost his temper, and I think he picked up a ban for that. But, you know, it's difficult. It'd be very hard for me to comment on it because I've not been on the receiving end of it. But, you know, he handled that absolutely fantastically well on a weekly basis, really. Yeah.
But it's a case that you don't want to... shouldn't be in a position where he has to handle it.
Right, exactly. So, but I think it goes beyond football that, you know, these people don't just come to football to be racist. I mean, they are racist, so they're racist in their everyday life. They obviously feel that football, they have a licence to let it out or to be a bit more open, or sometimes people get caught up in the moment and their true feelings come out, you know. So...
did you notice like a day-to-day change in London? Like, because you would have been taking it back to like 2016, that kind of direction. You would have been cycling out of London, I guess, at that stage and going back to Cork. Did you notice the kind of change in the air over there at that stage? Because it has been emboldened by the likes of the far right and Farage and elements of the Conservative Party and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I went to a supporters forum one night, and somebody asked a question about the EDL, the English Defence League they're called, and apparently they have a very prominent section of short football games, and the club actually, in fairness to Crystal Palace, they had because Crystal Palace is a massively diverse area first and foremost, but a football club also.
Always has been for it.
It's you know, I mean, when you look at the Croydon and South London area, really, you know, it's so diverse. You know, it's always been a very, very open club and also very, very proactive in doing this. You know, and they did take a stance on it. I suppose it did really, but I think people feel safe in numbers, and when Nigel Farage and these types of prominent people are openly being racist, these guys feel like, well, if he's doing it on TV, then maybe I can be it as well, and then they get together in groups, and it just seems to just escalate. But I did definitely, you know, I remember the summer that Brexit happened after that, you did start to notice a little bit more.
Was there much anti-Irish stuff over there that you encountered?
No, not really, to be honest with you. The Irish were kind of well settled, really, you know. Okay. Definitely over there, but I've said before that I did get racially abused at Millwall for being Irish, but that was just something different.
Was that, I don't know if you've seen this WhatsApp that's doing the rounds about Gary Rowett going to Millwall. You can probably explain this as well. Basically, there's an issue with Gary Rowett taking over the Millwall job because, as some fans thought, his dad was a prison officer in a jail. This is probably a complete box because it's like, it's a Millwall and it'd be hilarious if we do this. Yeah. But as somebody saying his dad was the biggest screw in the nick that I was in when I was there.
That's what I say when I get racially abused in Millwall. It's stuff like that, you know.
It's possibly the most Millwall story ever. Right? Yeah. But as we alluded to that story about the supporter at Old Trafford there, Will, on Sunday.
Yeah, Manchester have issued an indefinite ban to that supporter who allegedly racially abused Liverpool's Trent Alexander-Arnold. He was ejected from the game after the incident happened in the second half of Sunday's 1-1 Premier League draw. The individual is not welcome at Old Trafford. United have said in a statement, though, he is free to appeal against that ban.
Just to let you know, tomorrow night we're going to be live in Damien's hometown of Cork for the latest Off the Ball Roadshow. You unfortunately have to be here with us to keep an eye on the Champions League. We'll be in Crane Lane with British and Irish line David Wallace, former Ireland international Fiona Steed. Ex-referee John Lacey is going to be there too, and what's been an interesting tournament for the officials over in Japan. And it'll be a family affair as well, as we're joined by two generations of the Myler family, David and his dad, John. Tickets were sold out, but we've managed, down behind the couch, to find a couple more. To get hold of those, get on to offtheball.com/events right now to snap up the very last of those. Tomorrow night live in Crane Lane will be OTB. Well, and speaking of the Rugby World Cup,
yeah, Eddie Jones has been pretty entertaining today. He says that he's been preparing his team for Saturday's semi-final for 2.5 years. They take on New Zealand for a place in the final in Japan. They meet in Yokohama at 9 a.m. Irish time on Sunday morning. Now, the All Blacks are looking to try and lift the Webb Ellis Trophy for a third time in a row, and Jones insists that means the pressure is on the opposition rather than his team.
Well, we don't have any pressure, mate. Put up your hand if you think we can win. There you go. So no one thinks we can win. No one thinks we can win. There's 120 million Japanese people out there whose second team are all the All Blacks. So there's no pressure on us. We've just got to have a great week, enjoy it, relax, train hard, enjoy this great opportunity we've got. Whereas they've got to be thinking about, well, this is their third, they're looking for their third World Cup, so that does bring some pressure.
Is there any person more Aussie than Eddie Jones? He's going to win the game, mate. I just want to be the subject of an Eddie Jones mate at some stage, just to be able to stare him down and go.
I did like at one point as well, he was calling some of the England fans, or some of the, I should say, the journalists as fans with keyboards.
Wow, okay.
It was a pretty interesting press conference. It's interesting as well, England have gone into Ireland's base. So Ireland get home in about 10 minutes' time. England have already moved into their digs in Disneyland at this stage.
Oh, wow.
We'll see if that preparation is better than what we had last week. But the England head coach was also claiming that their training session was spied on today. Jones says cameramen were filming the England team from a building overlooking the pitch. He says, though, he doesn't care. He says he loves it and that there's no longer any value in spying on opposition teams because there's so much footage online.
Yeah, the homecoming for the Ireland team, such as it is, a low-key one, you'd imagine, is at Dublin Airport this evening. Shane Hannon's out there. Hopefully we're going to get some audio from that as well. Along the lines this evening, were you surprised by the reaction? There's been a very strong reaction from some quarters to the Irish rugby team and the way and the manner they exited this World Cup, Damien. Speaking as a football man.
Yeah, I'm ultimately disappointed. I'm not massively into rugby, but just from my kind of casual observing of watching the game and stuff like that, I just don't think they didn't look built for the conditions. You know, it was very, very hot out there. Sometimes camera cut to players in games, and oh my God, they were really, they were struggling. So look, I mean, obviously we were the #1 ranked team going in there, and we didn't get past quarter-final stage. So obviously everyone's going to be disappointed. But my take on that now will be very, very amateur.
Do you get the sense that there are some people who might be fans of other sports would delight in seeing this team do badly?
No, I wouldn't have thought that, to be honest with you. I haven't sensed that anyway. I think everyone wants the country to do well, and I think there's such optimism going into it that, you know, #1 ranked team, we definitely were looking to get to the semi-finals. But obviously it was a Japan game that did it, because I think we might have had a better chance against South Africa. But once we got the All Blacks, I think everyone knew that it was curtains.
Text in from a Spurs fan saying, I agree with Gary Breen that we missed a window to win the league, but it really only existed since clubs with greater resources who can afford to repeatedly spend 50 million underperformed. Liverpool and City have since got their house in order, and United will surely follow. Money talks, says Dave. Money talks, we were talking that Roy Keane throwaway comment the other night on Monday. Just get Harry Kane.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you ever wanted an oversimplistic view on a subject, then I think Roy's probably a man for it. Like, I mean, if it was that easy, I think they would have done it, and I think they probably did try to go and get him. But if to get Harry Kane out of Spurs with Daniel Levy, you're probably talking north of 250 million.
Yeah,
that was probably what they quoted. I mean, when Roy played, it probably was a touch easier for United to go and sign, you know, Alex Ferguson normally signed the top striker, you know, York, Cole, or the best players in England.
They don't have the cachet, or they don't have the Champions League football anymore.
And they don't have the money for it anymore. They can't compete, you know. I mean, you can't compete with Man City, who are essentially state-backed. You know, Liverpool have done it a different way, but I think Man United have spent the money, but they're not in the same bracket as Man City. They can't do it.
It's a difficult thing for United people to kind of countenance, is that they're not there anymore. They've been consistently playing Europa League football.
I haven't said that. There's an argument that they have spent, I think, only over 150 million shy of what Man City. So I mean,
but look what they spent it on. They haven't been. It hasn't been spent on the top tier players.
Right, but I don't think United would have had the money to go and spend 250 million quid on Harry Kane. I think if Man United would probably have a better chance of getting Pochettino. Right? So I mean, they should probably go and, I mean, I know Roy said that it's simple, go and get Harry Kane. It's not. I think simple is go and get Pochettino. You know, I think you'd have more of a chance of doing that. And then Woodward's next job would be go and get Edwin van der Sar out of Ajax and install him as director of football. And then he go back in his office and worry about net profit, or, you know, pre-tax profits, or, you know, every now and again you see these things coming out. I mean, that's his gig, and that's where he should stay. That's the answer to United's problems. I think that simplistic view of go and get Harry Kane is not right, if I'm being honest.
I don't know. Go get Harry Kane. Be fine. Everything will be sorted once you get Harry Kane.
The war's not
it could, like New Zealand could win, you know, the semi-final if they have Harry Kane. Steve.
Potentially, if they've got Kieran Reid, they've got a better chance at least. And Steve Hansen is 100% sure his captain will be fit to face England. Reid missed training with the All Blacks today. He's nursing a sore calf muscle from last weekend's win over Ireland. Hansen says his skipper was working individually in the gym. He's confirmed that loose forward Matt Todd will miss the England game with a shoulder issue, which was also sustained last weekend. Bad news for Ulster as well. Michael Lowry's been ruled out for 2 months after undergoing ankle surgery today. The back will miss their Champions Cup matches against Bath and Claremont next month, with the issue picked up during their recent Pro 14 games in South Africa. He'll start the season well.
Yeah, good stuff, Will. Should mention as well, Derry City hosting St Pat's in the SSE Electricity Premier Division tonight, 7:45 kickoff. We'll keep you updated on that one too, as we will all of tonight's Champions League action. We're talking that, and indeed Arsenal, with Pat Nevin and Damien next.
Off the ball on Newstalk.
In a world where customers